Hey everybody, welcome back to Couch for It.
Hello.
It's gonna be so much fun because we are on episode 9 of Lost in Space, which means we are 2 episodes from being done with this fucking thing, and I cannot wait. But let's start with introductions. I am Drew Tillman, and I am here to be angry about this, and I'm always joined by...
Belinda, who is also equally angry about this not the podcast. Oh my god, accidentally. I'm sorry, Drew. I did not mean it this time.
Oh, you don't like doing this podcast with me, huh?
Episode 4, I've got a fourth episode in a row. I've got a spray drink. I also just despise this series. I cannot wait for the end of next week when we are done.
Mm-hmm. It's gonna be so good. But we're gonna watch that movie afterwards, and it's gonna be infinitely better.
I hope so. I've heard great things.
Same. As I said on Wednesday, Valanda, I'm going to bring this up before we get into this. Found out there are people who want to fuck Spencer. And I need to talk about that. Because why?
Okay, so we've actually done our first impressions, which are fuck this. So we're now
that's
just
really our first impressions.
Yeah, that's the yeah. So we're moving straight on to this.
Everyone moving on to this.
Fuck Spencer.
Because why would you want to fuck Spencer? Like, don't fuck Spencer, please.
All right, I feel like I could add a lot of pros into why you would want to, but I also don't want to be that person.
Okay, listen. The only reason people want to fuck Spencer is because Spencer has a weirdly bubbly ass.
Yeah, like he has curves, man. He's got the curves.
He's got curves, but he's also covered in spikes.
Well, he's not. They're just like edges. And even those are curved. You can't tell that they're sharp. And
I bet they're
do not screw it. I'm going to take the perspective. I don't agree with it, but I'm going to do it anyway because we started talking about this crap, right? He can move in a variety of different ways. He can have 4 legs. He has like the weird things going on. He can heat up at intervals. He can provide his own mood lighting. I mean, come on.
So you're saying people want to fuck Spencer because he's basically a walking fuck machine.
Yes. I mean, look at him. He can move however he wants. He can have lots of legs or 2 legs, depending on whether into 4-legged or 2-legged variety. He's got all the curves in all the right places. He clearly knows what he's doing with himself.
He's a sentient Sibian, is what you're saying.
Yes, and he can provide his own mood lighting. And he doesn't say very much, which is, I guess, a good thing in some situations, I guess. Now I said that, please don't think about fucking Spencer, because just don't.
Oh, but I got you to say it on the podcast, which makes me... very happy.
I'm very unhappy because I know someone's going to listen to this. I'm going to get the shit ripped out of me.
It's going to be amazing.
A week's time.
You're going to get comments on Twitter.
Oh god, I hope not.
Twitter.
But you can find me on Twitter at not that Drew. That's where you can address all those comments too.
I mean, honestly, you can send whatever you want to me on Twitter. I do not care. You can tell me how Spencer has a great ass. I'll probably just ignore you if I'm being honest.
But yeah, I don't get it either.
I won't respond to that. But you can say it.
I mean, we didn't find out about this until Wednesday, right?
Mm-hmm. We found out Wednesday and we had a whole conversation about it.
It was disturbing then. The images are even more disturbing because, yes, we did go Google that.
Oh, of course. I had to Google it, everyone. I had to look on the internet and find pictures. And it was a mistake.
It was, you can't, there's no way to pull yourself back from that.
No, we entered a very dark time, but it's okay. But
all right, so now I think we've got that everybody wants to fuck Spencer out of your bloodstream.
No, because it's going to come back at some point.
Of course it will, but we've only got like 2 episodes left to get through.
That's true.
And then it's going to be fine. We never have to think about this again, but there will clearly be comparisons made when we watch the movie, right?
Probably, and not only that, there's a season 2 coming out, and I assume that we have to watch it because, and which means that we're gonna have to deal with it again.
Oh no!
Yeah, are you ready for that?
Honestly, no, I don't think I am. All right, let's hit the episode because I think we've both watched this twice this week.
Yes, I definitely watched it twice, and my hair is looking ridiculous. I watched it twice. I watched it once on like Sunday night. Because before I've been watching them pretty much on Friday and writing notes and just being very angry about them. I wanted to watch it once and just get all the rage out of the way and then come back to it. And I watched it again today and actually took my notes. But I was not super angry. Because I'd already seen all the stuff.
Yeah, see, I tried to watch this like I did, I think episode 6. I'm like, I'm going to go into this with a positive attitude. I'm like, oh, you said you watched it, and I could feel the fumes coming through like the simple one-line text of like, I've watched it.
Oh, yes, it was. It was anger.
Yeah, it was there. And I was like, no, I'm going to give it a positive idea. And I sat down and watched it, and I'm like, boy. And I watched it again today to try and make notes, and boy. I just got worse.
I've got lots of notes. Lost in Pacing, Undead Band. That actually would be a better title for this fucking show.
Well, I don't know if you noticed, Drew, but on our Twitch channel, I have in fact named it Couch for It, Lost in Pacing, episode 9.
Okay, so he's commenting. I haven't looked at the Twitch channel. Okay.
I know, yeah, I know. I change them every week. Last time I think it was Lost in Trash Fire, so.
Well, that's an obvious one. Or that's a correct one. But yes, it is Lost in Pacing, because once again, episode 9, pacing out the window. Just they ignore it entirely.
It's like they learned from like the one guy in episode 6 or episode 7 or whatever the hell it was, where they had pacing down. They're like, oh, we kept it for half an episode, and they're like, what was this pacing thing again? Don't worry about it. We
can ignore it. We don't need to know it.
Oh my good God.
But let's dive in with the first part of this episode, which is that we see a flashback of the family. Yeah. Actually, we see a flashback of a news report about the Christmas star crashing onto Earth, and Maureen being like, this doesn't behave like a meteor at all. I mean, thanks, I guess. That's cool.
Yeah, she actually, like, I'm going to say props here. The beginning of the episode, up to a certain point, they drop science in places, and it's like, holy crap, this is what I'm waiting for. Like, she sits down and explains that when a meteor comes in, it breaks into a bunch of different pieces, and there'll be fallout all over the freaking place. And she mentions that it doesn't act like a meteor. There has been no reports of things, and we would have heard about it much, much sooner.
And not to mention, the meteor was so large that it would have thrown bits of just the Earth into the air, which would become other meteors and all sorts of stuff. Yeah. It's a great bit of science. We don't see it, and it's like, oh, that's cool. But then that becomes the setup to Will beeping on a radio to contact his dad, because they have a secret code. I'm assuming it's shitty Morse code.
Oh, I know, because like the Morse code for like he says like they have a code which is it's basically 3 beeps in like a.
That's why I say shitty Morse code, because it's not Morse code.
Not Morse code, like just at all. I don't even know what beep 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 is.
I don't either.
I have no memory. I have no memory of what it is. So yeah, he does this thing, and it's like if you get 3 beats back, that's his dad saying that they're okay. That's their little code between them. Again, this feels very much like a network written show.
Yes.
Because they've gone to that formula, and it's beginning to become a bit of a trend where at the beginning of the episode, or really close to the beginning of the episode, it's like, here's a flashback to tell you everything important for what's coming up in the episode, which in this case includes the fact that it's maybe not a meteor, that they have this secret code between the kid and the dad. And it's like, they're the plot points that you get from this.
Yeah, those are the 2 things you need. Undead Band says 3 beeps would be the letter S.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
S for space or shy or...
S for are you okay?
S for are you okay?
That's what it means. S means are you okay? But Skagga says Roadrunner goes meep meep, which it could just be the Roadrunner with an extra meep. That could be their code.
Because their dad keeps running away. Oh.
Exactly. He keeps running away, and once someone else keeps building weird robots and magnets to try to catch all sorts of nonsense.
All sorts of nonsense.
S for Superman, also a good thing, Skagga says.
Superman somewhere. I don't think he'd refer to his dad as Superman. Well, maybe he does, because he still idolizes his pops at this point, right?
He does.
Yeah. Either way, so we have this like terribly set up. This is how like it's clearly not written, as we were saying last week, not written for binging, because it's not written like a Netflix show, because you wouldn't need to do that. You wouldn't have to go, right, well, you don't remember anything, so here's the beginning, here's a flashback, let's move on to the next bit, the setup. It's just odd and bizarre. I also missed what kind of intro they did, and I watched the episode twice. I missed their intro credit.
I don't think they did one this time.
Like at all?
I don't think they did, because watching it today, restarted it does the intro bit where it sets up the star and the radio, And then it jumps forward to the next scene. They may do a title card after the next scene, but I honestly don't remember them doing it at all. I'm pretty sure it's just a no.
I think it's a little one. I think it's a little one straight after this scene.
It may be. It's one. I mean,
yeah.
It's so just uninteresting. I don't even pay attention.
Let's put it like this. They didn't put the long one back in because they had it all set up for the last episode. Like, this is going to be because of the last episode. Like, oh, well, now we can forget about it.
Yeah, so they're done.
So no.
They showed you that the whole setup was because they're going to make a 1960s space capsule, and now they're done. They don't need to show it again.
No, exactly.
In case you didn't catch the parallel.
Yeah, so we go from the flashback onto the three Robinson kids sitting in their Jupiter, and Will is using the radio to try and contact their dad in the way he used to before, which is 3 beeps, because he's obviously trying to convince himself that his dad isn't dead, and the other 2 girls are like, "Dude, he's dead. Give it up already."
I'm just going to say this now. It's in my notes much later, but I'm going to say it now. The radios in this show piss me off to no end. They are inconsistent. They apparently have infinite range. They can do whatever they want. The only radio that doesn't behave in whatever way they want it to behave is the one of the Resolute, and that's the only one. Everyone else they can talk on their communicator, little wrist thing. They can talk through the Jupiter. They can talk through the Chariot. They don't have to touch anything. They can just talk to each other. It's nonsense. The radios are so inconsistent that it pisses me off. They don't have satellites on this planet, so how are you... I mean, there are, like, long-range radio waves and stuff, but that implies that these communicators have the ability
and they're only like little tiny like ham radio equivalent that he has. It's only a little thing. It wouldn't have a lot of juice. So the dad, if he's going to respond, has to be really super close.
Yeah, and the thing about that is like, well, I can send microbursts and it'll reach him anywhere. But the thing is, what is his dad going to receive this on? And more to the point, even if his dad's alive, what's he going to receive it on? And what's he going to send back from? They don't have anything. They have the ones that they carry around with them and the ones in the Jupiter, and that's it.
Yeah, so basically, if and when his dad replies, we'll have to find that out in episode 10 because it's clearly not explained in this one.
Yep.
The radio communication is definitely a sore spot in this episode, I think.
It's because they don't explain anything, and the inconsistency is what bothers me.
Yeah, as we found out, they had some like pretty big plot holes last week. I didn't notice anything that glaring this week, but it was still like, I think the last episode really just like killed this for me so much.
It's a thing.
Yeah. So we actually get to see, like last week, you were mentioning that it would be nice to see the family get angry, have some emotions.
Oh, we finally get to see that, but not yet, which is my favorite part because it jumps to. After they have this whole little thing, it jumps to Maureen and Smith.
Yeah.
It jumps to Maureen. The kids find out. They're like, we have to go find Mom. Dr. Smith definitely took her. We got to figure that out. Then it cuts to Maureen and Smith. And Maureen's tied up. Like, the mom's tied up. And she just seems so blasé about talking to the person who straight up admits she, as far as Maureen knows, killed her husband.
Yeah. She literally wakes up and is like, what the hell's going on? And Dr. Smith is like, yeah, well, that was an accident. I didn't realize you were doing something useful.
I mean, it was definitely my fault.
And then he went bang.
Yeah.
Sorry, he didn't make it. And
she's just like...
So little reaction about it, like, at all. I can get shock, but there wasn't even that. She may be fearful for her own life, but I didn't even get that. It was just like,
well, that's cool. The script says keep going. Let's keep going.
Yep. It's like, we've been paid to do this. Just get through it and go home. High five. People are paying us.
Eventually we can leave the set.
Eventually we'll leave. Shit, there's season 2. So yeah, there's they have this like awkward conversation where Dr. Smith is still evidently playing Maureen. She's still doing the, this happened, and if you don't help, then we won't get out, and if you help me, then we're about to do this, and
I'll
here's
save
a plan.
Everybody, and we'll get the robot to work, and blah blah blah.
Yeah, basically, blah 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 really covers that scene in my head.
Pretty much. I mean, it's not a good scene. It's literally just more Dr. Smith exposition of. Which we don't need because we know what Dr. Smith wants to do. She wants to get the robot active so she can use the robot to do whatever to do nefarious bullshit. Like,
to carry out her plan.
we don't need more of it. We already got it.
Yeah. So we finish that dodgily written scene, and we go back to the kids.
Yes.
And I think at that point they find out that nope, they haven't found anything out. Although, actually, no, there is one thing I do want to throw in here, because it keeps coming up throughout the series, and it keeps coming up throughout this episode. Two things. One is that Will is the person who needs to put Spencer back together.
Yep.
Because Will is the one, the only one. There's that. And the other thing that always keeps popping up in this series, especially in this episode, is that Dr. Smith is not a monster. I don't know how many times she's repeated that phrase, but it began to, like, in this episode, like when she first said it, I'm like, oh, I've heard that phrase like 1,000 times. This is really great, yeah.
Yeah, she says it so much because obviously the whole point of the script is she's trying to convince herself.
Yeah, it's that adage of, like, everybody's the hero in their own story. Even villains are their own hero.
Yes.
And she clearly sees herself as that, but it's that one phrase that they can't seem to have a variation on.
No, it's just, I'm not a monster. I'm not a
monster, which clearly means at some point someone's going to, like, snap in, because it doesn't happen in this episode. Either in the next episode, it will happen in series 2, towards the end, someone will go, you're a monster, and she's like, oh no, you're right. Or she'll embrace being a monster. I don't really know. It's just one of those things that's clearly being set up for something, because it's been said so many times in the same way. And it's just so annoying.
Yeah, no, I agree. But after that scene, we jump back to the kids, where Judy decides she's going to go find their mother, and Will's like, I'll go with you. And then Judy blames Will for everything that happened.
Yeah, she snaps. We finally see one of the kids snap.
We get to see her snap. And then she apologizes. He's like, no, you're right. I let her go. And then he goes to his room where he shows some more emotion, like, which is so short-lived.
It's interesting because we see Judy snap and, like, basically, like, this is your fault. You've done enough. And he's like, yeah, you're right. And, like, mature fucking adults, they talk about it, they apologize, and they move on.
Yeah.
It's like, this is the most mature I think I've ever seen children act. And then Will goes off and starts having a kiddie tantrum in his bedroom, which is fair. I mean, he's been going through some stuff. He's just possibly just lost his dad. He doesn't know where his mother is. Yep. He's the one that let Dr. Smith out. The robot is gone. Everything is going to shit. I understand why, as an adult, I'd rage around my room too. Like, he probably pick stuff up and start throwing it around.
Oh, no, I agree. Like, his reaction is, it's understandable and it's spot on.
Yeah.
But it's also so short-lived because he picks up a rock and throws it and it breaks. And what is the rock? It's dried shit.
I literally have written in my notes, Will loses his shit, and, well, he finds literal shit.
He finds literal shit, yeah.
It happens in the same episode.
It does.
Sorry, in exactly the same scene. So he calls for his sisters, and they come back, and they take this dried poop to old man.
I found his name out. I think they finally said it.
Hiroki.
They may have said it before. They may have,
but this is the first time I picked it up.
Exactly. I don't know.
Also, because I realized I keep referring to him as like the old doctor mentor dude, and, like, that's not his place in this one. Hiroki. I love this guy. He's so good.
Yes.
So they give this poop to Hiroki, who basically says, yes, this is definitely crap, but it's crap from an apex predator. And I'm going to give props to Penny in this particular scene, because she's so witty. It's so funny. It's like,
Penny's always so good.
She has those little, like, off one-liners. She really is like the morale booster, the go-getter girl, the person that does the odd jobs. She's so good at that, and she continues to fulfill that, and she's so good at it. And, like, I don't care if she doesn't progress as a character. She does everything she needs to do. I love her so much. From the character I probably thought I'd hate the most, I think I may love her the most now.
Right. She's not an arc necessarily, but she becomes one of the most interesting characters.
Yeah, she's interesting. Like, she does stuff. She does stuff that's required, and she's a good morale boost for her family. And she's, there's clearly that strong bond between her and her sister and her and her brother. And exactly. It is beautiful to see. I have to say, like, as much as I generally hate kid actors, and I don't know how old they are, the 3 kids in this are fucking incredible. They don't annoy me as actors. They're not terrible. I mean, Will's a little bit iffy on occasion.
But the other thing is, I'm not even going to blame that on him as a child actor, because no one in this show shows any actual emotion. So I don't think it's Will. I think it's just the writing and the direction of just being like, well, we don't show emotion. Why do we have emotion? No one has that.
Yeah.
Just...
All of the time they do the emotion is nothing written in scripts. Like, it's those
Exactly.
little moments between those, a little bit of chemistry, the way that they deliver a line, or the way they look at each other, or the way they hug each other. It's just those little things that you don't get from reading off the script, those very little things, and they're very good at those. And the chemistry between the three of them is really good. So
Yeah.
I say, I have it in there. It's like, Penny is witty. I kind of love her.
Yes.
That's what's written in my notes here because of this one that was seen. Like, I really want to shout those because normally we're so hard on everyone for being crap this entire series, but there are odd shining moments, and one of those are these three kids. So
100%. I do agree. But I saw that. I can't look at it because I know what you're laughing at.
Yeah, in the chat, Undead, Deus Ex Crappener, I love you so much. Also, I have in my notes here is Undead called it last week.
Oh, Search for the Fuel Part 2?
Yep, yeah. Search for the Fuel Part 2, and they find the fuel.
They do, they find the fuel, because what do they have? They have waste converters. And what do they have now? A bunch of shit. Just a bunch of shit.
Yeah, so they're like, oh, we found this crap in a cave where we hid Spencer, and they're like, well, let's go check it out. So everybody goes to check it out, and apparently there is just poop everywhere. They're like, go into the initial cave, and they're like, oh, it's warmer than I remember. It's like, well, yeah, the planet's about to, be horrible. So they go in there, they find a bunch more poop, and then they go through like this little like kind of little passageway in the back of the cave that the kids didn't bother exploring before.
Yeah.
And they find stalagmites of poop.
Yeah, of poop. And they also find the things that have been pooping, which are giant bat monsters.
I think they're bats. Yeah,
they're like bats. But I also want to comment, like, Hiroki's like, oh, this is an apex predator. And I was like, of course it's an apex predator. Because the way this show is written, nothing is ever simple or easy. Like, this planet, this big planet, doesn't have just some plodding herbivore out there just dropping mounds of shit everywhere. Nope, it's got to be an apex predator. It just has to be.
Of course it does. It's naturally like there's poop from all the creatures they've logged here. Clearly this is an apex predator. And it's like, oh my good lord, of course, yeah.
It's just like, of course, because everything in this show suffers from one of those symptoms of everything has to either be 0 or 11, and there's no in between. Yeah. Nobody's just like, oh yeah, it's fine or whatever, because episode 4, which was a beach episode, basically was a 0. Like, they didn't do anything, nothing was accomplished. It was just dead. No. The second anything happens, guess what? We're at 11. Everyone's freaking out. Something goes wrong.
Yeah. This man. So we go in there and we see stalagmites of poop.
Yep.
And they look up and there's like, oh, there's a bunch of weird ass bats up here. Maybe we shouldn't make any noise.
Let's not make any noise.
Yeah, so they cut outside and they have Hiroki and oh my god, what the hell is his name? Victor. Yep. This is how much I care about him. Like, Victor is delivering this speech of like, there's a bunch of crap in there which we need. We can convert it into fuel within apparently an hour if we get enough to get all of the Jupiters into outer space. Mm-hmm. And we only have 9 hours to do this in because then the Resolute is scheduled to take off. And everyone's like, why do we have to do the silent scenes like silently? Because
it cuts away. We don't see anything. Because it cuts away to Smith and Maureen. Because Smith is once again telling her plan about how she's going to get the robot together. And Maureen, again, as I said, seems real chill to just help out the woman who murdered her husband.
Yeah.
And like, literally the most she does to like defend herself or her family or anything is she kind of just makes like some rude comments at Smith, like, you're kind of a bad person. Like, that's it. She doesn't even like she doesn't insult her. She doesn't like come out and like, hey, fuck you. She doesn't try to get away. She's literally just like, you're kind of a bad person, Smith.
Yeah, I mean, she doesn't like. Yeah, well, shock could be one thing. Scheming to save her own life could be another. I kind of got like maybe she was just trying to play Dr. Smith back a little bit so she could try and find a way of escaping or perhaps buy time. But it really didn't come off well at all.
No, it doesn't. I mean, and I could see the same thing. I could see her trying to buy time or trying to think of a way out of it. But for a woman who
is a rocket scientist,
not only a rocket scientist. The fucking rocket scientist, because let me fucking tell you what happens here in a moment. We may be jumping around some cuts, but I want to tell you. Maureen decides that of anyone on the planet, she can get an alien spaceship flying again.
Because all of the old like physics, basically.
Which
it's physics. Physics is the way that everything should work. So things should be common between certain things, like burners should be similar, converters should be similar, fuel should be a similar thing. However, as she mentions, it's built for Spencer.
Exactly.
She mentions it like they go inside the ship and then she's like, well, we're not gonna be able to get this work because it's not really designed for us. It's designed for Spencer, who's like fucking eight feet tall
and has 4 hands.
Yeah.
But you're right, because there is the laws of physics. Like, physics should always be the same. But is it an alien ship? So you may be like, okay, so this is the engine. What is this? I don't know what this is because I've never seen this particular thing before. You could probably figure it out given time, but you have 9 hours.
I have 9 hours.
You're going to figure out how to put together, how to work and repair an alien spaceship in 9 hours. I don't think so, Maureen.
No, I mean, unless they go in there and it's like, hey, it's fully functional, which it clearly isn't because it crashed. The interface alone would be like a pain in the ass. Like, all right, you're looking at, okay, maybe you can get the engine running again. Mm-hmm. Maybe you can get the thrusters going. Maybe you can get this thing actually functional. You're not going to be able to pilot it because you're not going to be able to understand the instructions to pilot. You go to the interface. As soon as you hit the interface, you're boned. Like, oh.
And because it's meant to be piloted by a robot, means most likely the interface would never even work for you. You wouldn't have a visual interface. You'd have some sort of like data link. Well, I mean, now granted, in this one, we know there's a visual interface because we see it at one point.
This is a really interesting thing that I had a conversation with my other half about when we were watching, I think it might have been one of the new Alien films or some bullshit like that. Mm-hmm. Like, they have robots running around. Robots can do everything wirelessly. They don't need buttons. They don't need a visual interface. They don't even need a voice communication. It's just a digital transformation of data. If this is a ship being run by a robot, if they don't include Wi-Fi with him, if they don't have a Bluetooth, what the fuck?
He puts his finger into the wall or something, like R2-D2. He's just like... Broop.
Even then, there would be like a singular hole. There would be no need for any sort of like piloting stuff. There would be nothing there. It would literally just be a hole in the wall and he just stands there. Yeah. And that's it. That's all he would need to do is like, in theory, that's how. However, it is for a TV show. They have to show something visual because it's a visual medium, so it has to be there. And I can forgive that. I'll forgive and allow that. But the other part of me is like, why would you do that? Why? It doesn't make any sense in my brain.
No, not even a little bit.
But forgiven because TV.
But because Maureen says that she can figure out this alien spaceship, we get a flashback of Maureen talking to some guy. Because it turns out Maureen actually designed and built, or she was the head of the team that designed and started to build the Resolute.
Yeah.
Like...
Yeah, she's like, this could withstand traveling at stupid speeds. This will be a great thing, but we don't have the technology to make it
go that fast.
Fly at that speed. And the man, as I'm going to call him, the suit, basically says, don't worry your pretty little head about it, girl. And then sods off.
Which, and this is another thing, like, this is such a cable TV thing of course Maureen was the head of the team that designed and built the Resolute, because why not?
Uh-huh.
Like, why does she have to be that? That's just one of those things of like, oh, but it's really cool. It's not. It's pointless plot, like, just to make a character more centralized to something that they don't need to necessarily be.
Yeah, I mean, she could have just been working on it.
Yeah, she could. Because we know she was working on the program because she cheated to get Will into the onto the Resolute. She doesn't need to be the head of the thing and also the smartest person in the room and also, like, calm down.
Yeah, we get that she's smart. We get that I mean, that's, to be fair, it is another thing of, like, representation of, like, let's show women being at the forefront. She is a very smart scientist. Yes. She's clearly very driven to do what she's doing. She's a great mom. She can do this, that, and the other. It's like, great for female empowerment. And she has a broken leg, which apparently she's over in 4 or 5 days. So fucking props to her. However...
They have super space medicine, Blonde.
However, let's just, like, reel it back just a little bit.
That's all I'm saying. Like, I would be fine with her being the smartest person in the room. That doesn't bother me. It's the fact that she's the smartest person in the room. And the head of the thing, and this, and that, and that.
Yeah.
Like, maybe just tone it down a little bit. Because
just roll it back a little bit.
She is a strong female character, but it kind of gets to the point of she becomes like all the Robinsons become these characters of just like, well, they're perfect characters and they do all the things and they have all the best stuff. Why?
It's my first D&D character.
Yes.
So my first D&D character always tends to be, I say generally, it's not the same for everyone, but generally is a person with very few flaws. They are a hero out to go out and do good in the world.
Exactly.
Like, you know, I'm going to go adventuring because it's the right thing to do and I'm super smart and super strong, or I'm very charismatic, or I dump charisma, but I'm really strong.
Yeah,
like,
they don't have any
aspects.
Conflict. There's no like internal conflict for the character.
Yeah, there's no internal, there's no background conflict, there's none of that there. It's just very beautifully contained. And that's pretty much how these characters feel.
Yes, they feel very, I wouldn't say one-dimensional, but they're kind of flat. I wouldn't even say two-dimensional. They're just kind of flat.
They're basically a dimension and a half. It's not quite two. Like they are stereotypical for what their characters are supposed to be.
Exactly.
I mean, they do have some conflicts between them. They have like the mother and the dad who had that like we're getting divorced thing going on. They had Penny like, I don't want to really do any of this crap. Please don't make me be here. And then they had Will who shouldn't be here. They have those odd little things, but they seem to have like come over them within literally a season. Yeah. Like 10 episodes, 8 episodes, shall we say. They've gotten through most of all that shit and now they're moving on. Like even Judy's thing, which would have been really cool, was if they continued on with her claustrophobia to some degree.
But she got over it in, what, 4 or 5 episodes?
I don't think it was even that. It was like 2, wasn't it? Something real short.
I think it was 3. I think she was over it before the beach episode.
Yes. Yes, she was. So, yeah.
It was 4, because she got over it in the beach episode, because she didn't want to go in the water with her dad.
Yes. Yeah. It's either one of those, yeah.
Yeah.
I know which episode you're talking about, yeah. They haven't continued that on at all. Like, that would have been a cool thing if they kept running along with her, even just a little bit, but no.
But whatever, because then, after this whole scene that we've been arguing about for way too long, we see Will and Victor, and Will is trying to contact his dad on the radio again, so he's sending out 3 little beeps. Mm-hmm. And Victor has this weird conversation with him about, like, hey, you're always welcome to stay with us. And Will's like, yeah, my mom's going to be back, my dad's going to be back. Don't worry, it's fine. Just being, like, an optimistic kid. It's great. And then Victor has this just really weird conversation about, like, you know, sometimes you have to do things you don't want to do. And Will's like, yeah, my dad did that when he got on the ship that exploded trying to save everyone.
Oh, yeah, it's like, sometimes you have to lead with your head and not your heart or some BS like that. And he's like, what's the dad using? It's like, clearly both.
Will verbally bitch slaps Victor. It's just like, yeah, my dad, as far as everyone is concerned, died trying to save you, Victor. Fuck right off.
Yeah. It's like, I'm going to be optimistic because you know why? Fuck you, Victor. What did you do? You sat in your ass and did nothing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I understand that little bitch slap. It was nice, but still it's kind of like Victor's trying to be nice in his own way in this scene of your dad's gone, your mum is missing, and I'm pretty sure that we have to go. And if we can go, you're not going to get left behind to wait for them.
Yeah.
I like that he's trying to be nice, but because obviously Will is in the place where he is, Will's like, nah, fuck you.
Yeah.
Which is again a fair statement for this, really.
I also wanted to mention we talked about people wearing red a little while ago.
Yes, yeah.
Victor is no longer wearing red. Angela's no longer wearing red.
Yeah, I did know.
The only 2 who are currently wearing red are Hiroki and Smith.
Oh, that's
Smith
interesting.
is no longer wearing her shawl. She's literally like her brown shawl.
She's got rid of her disguise.
Yeah, she's in a red jumpsuit. So the only 2 people who are wearing red are these 2. Everyone else, as they've had their conflicts resolved, have stopped wearing red.
Yeah, I noticed Andrew had stopped wearing red. I hadn't noticed that Victor had stopped wearing red.
Yeah, he usually has a red t-shirt. Like, that's the same.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't remember
him. I wonder why Hiroki is still wearing red then.
He's gonna cause some sort of problem.
Obviously.
I can't wait. But we'll get to that in a minute.
Oh, maybe it was something with the robot, maybe.
Maybe.
Because, like, it's not like he was resistant to Spencer being around, but he was upset he didn't get told about him.
Yeah.
He has seen the robot act out. Maybe he's one to watch.
I think he's going to do something next episode. And now I can't be sure. I don't actually know if the writers of this were smart enough to go into symbolism. This could all just be coincidence.
It's like, it's just coincidence. We just noticed this and we're assigning.
Exactly. It's like film school 101 of just like, why was there an orange on the desk? The orange must mean something. It's like, no, our department put something on the desk because it was empty.
Yep. To be fair, ever since I've watched, I think it's The Sixth Sense, when always watch like, I'm a freak and I like to watch like behind the scenes stuff, and I'm like, oh yeah, everything you touched was red. I'm like, oh damn. Now my brain is instantly like red. What should we going with red? Yeah. I get it. Yeah, that's fair. All right.
But after this weird conversation and this verbal bit slap, I love it because it cuts. I don't actually love it. It's stupid. It cuts back inside to where people are harvesting shit off of giant piles of shit, and we see VJ look at Penny and act really weird, and they both like look at each other awkwardly and then look down and walk off. And then we see Will and Angela have this exact same face off where they just walk off. And of course, this scene ends with someone dropping one of their tools on a rock, and it rings out. And
I don't think that's the reason that shit goes down in this one.
No, it's not. This scene, that noise happens, and then just nothing happens. Like the end of the scene it's a shot from above, so all you see are flashlights basically, and they just start moving around again because it cuts from that to Judy in a chariot finding her mom in the easiest way. By pushing a button on the chariot and it just goes, hey, chariot 12's over there.
Do you know what? I fucking love this scene. Because it actually genuinely shows a bit of like, here's some common sense. Where the fuck are the rest of the Jupiter? Where are the rest of the chariots? Oh, it's over there. All right. I guess I'll go check it out then. Like,
I love
common sense. Like, fuck. Like, there's no convoluted, I'm going to have to like navigate. I have to go out and find someone to do this for me. It's like, no, it's like, they're actually using some useful
sort of technology. But I love that because they can apparently track each other. Apparently they can, everyone. They just, when they want to.
Yeah. Plot.
There's nobody that any of the, like Victor or anyone was like, hey, we need someone tracking everybody at all times because we're on a hostile alien planet and we need to know that everyone is safe at all times.
Safety, yeah. Just having someone like, oh, why is one of these chariots fucked off? Oh, wait, there's somebody missing and Dr. Smith is an asshole. Maybe they would have to check these things. But I was just happy to see that they didn't have to use anything convoluted. It was something that would be blatantly fucking obvious to do, and they do it.
They did it.
Yes!
And then it jumps, because you know where Judy's going. We don't have to watch her go there, obviously. It jumps to Smith and Maureen again. And we get a glimpse of Smith's backstory, because Smith is talking about why she wants Spencer. And she tells her backstory, but the problem with having a character who lies all the time, this is the inherent problem of, is she telling the truth?
Yeah.
Like, why do I give a fuck about her sad backstory? Because her whole character is that she lies. She lies to manipulate, to get attention. She lies for all these reasons. I don't give a fuck about your backstory because I don't know if it's true. Show me, don't tell me.
Yeah, the wonderful, is, again, writing 101. Don't say, oh, this person is a badass. Every time I'm around them, they're a badass. Like, just show them being a badass.
Yeah, just show them. Let me see it.
Let people make up their own mind about what a thing is. So, she tells you this backstory about her dad kicking it. I think...
No, her mom kicks it, and then her dad liked her sister more, so she ran away and then made some mistakes.
Because I was paying a lot of attention to this scene.
That's fine. But I do want to say, because this scene actually has the best line, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
Smith looks at Maureen and is like, I'm not the villain of this piece, while she continues to be a villain, which is my favorite. It's like the Joker being like, Batman, I'm not the bad guy here. Yes, you are.
Dr. Smith is, she's just like, I'm not villain here. I'm the hero. And then, like, Maureen turns around and says, prove it and let me through. And then she's like, I don't think so.
She's just like, no. It's
amazing.
It's like, you can't say you're not the villain and then be the villain.
It's amazing. You're right. It's an interesting scene. Maureen tries to like break free of her bonds by cutting the things on there, and then she ends up pushing Smith against a wall.
This is the moment, this whole thing where I was like, Maureen's supposed to be a super genius. That's like her character. She has the worst escape plan, which is, oh yeah, look in that corner over there, and then she tries to break her bonds by rubbing them against the wall. I'm like.
But this is the woman whose entire plan was, come down to the garage with me. It's not a trap. Wink, wink.
You know, that's true. She's a rocket scientist, and she clearly is a planner because she has her famous whiteboard throughout this whole series.
Oh, yeah.
She apparently sucks at planning, actually. If she doesn't have that whiteboard, fuck off. It's not.
Yeah.
It's nothing.
Yeah, yeah. She improv is not her style.
Nope.
So not a GM. Only a player.
Not at all. Only a player.
Only a player. Only a module, right? I can't do him. So yeah, she does this, and she pushes Dr. Smith against a wall because they start having a little bitch fight.
Yep.
And then we see the hair thing.
This kind of infuriates me a little bit. I'm being really mean to this episode. But she pushes against the wall and her hair goes up. And Maureen's like, I've seen that before. And it's like, yeah, you've seen it in a science museum. You've seen it in every third grade class ever. It's not fancy. It's not like you touch... And then it cuts to the Resolute, where we see Penny and Will touching this like restricted area door, and their hair goes up on end. And then Maureen comes by and yells at them, and then she does it. And it's like, I'd understand if Smith touched the wall and she turned green or something. Like, that would be like, holy shit, I know what that is. Yeah. I've only seen it once in my life.
Yeah, there's that whole aspect of like, quick, let's throw a flashback to explain what this means, and they do drop some science in here, which again I'm like, woohoo, stealth science. And it was super stealthy and really small amount of it, but it was there. I'm like, yay.
It was.
But the thing that irritated me most about this scene was actually that push and the reaction to it, because Smith says something to her and Maureen just pushes her. It's nothing that was... She said far worse things to her to elicit that response, and she pushes her against the wall, which of course plot wall, whatever. Yeah. But then there is no reaction. There's no get up and fight from Smith. There's no Maureen like making a run for it. They just stand there. It's not even like you would push and run. You wouldn't wait to see whether they're going to hit you back. No, you push and you fuck off. That's the smart thing to do. This part here was so like, and we're going to hit the plot button. She pushes her against the wall and everything's fine.
Pretty much, because
terrible.
This show suffers from a severe but plot problem.
Yes. It was awful, and it just made me cringe. I hated it.
It's so terrible. But they jump back at this point to the people in the cave.
Yep.
And Will and Penny are talking about how their dad might be dead. And Will's like, no, you just gotta believe. Impossible stuff happens. And then the radio goes off. Because of course the radio goes off, everybody. Because this show, they hit the plot button again. Boop, boop, there we go. And all the monsters wake up.
Boop, boop, boop. There's 3.
There we go. Boop, boop, boop. Then the monsters wake up. And this scene makes me frustrated. Because these apex predators wake up. And the only person to even get touched by one is Hiroki.
Yes.
Everyone else is
running. That's why he's wearing red.
Maybe that's it. Everyone else is
so
running.
So they can find him.
They're running and screaming, and these things are flying everywhere. And the only person to even get injured is Hiroki.
Yes, that's it.
Because everyone else has plot armor. Everyone's got plot armor.
Because they wanted Hiroki to be in trouble.
Oh, yeah.
I don't even know why.
and I'm going to say I'm particularly annoyed by this. Now, granted, I didn't want them to kill John, and I'm glad that John actually, by the way, he's alive, everyone. He got the code across.
Spoiler.
But they didn't kill John. They didn't kill a main character. No one is in danger. This show has taken 10 episodes, and when it started out, it's like, oh my god, there's, Judy's in danger. Ooh, this is dangerous. And then it immediately just went into like sitcom style danger of just like ridiculous scenes of stuff happening. No one's in danger. They could walk through it and it would be fine.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like even when they dive down at him, it don't look like it's actually hurting him all that much.
No, it grabs him, carries him 5 feet, and drops him again.
Yeah, that's kind of the extent of it. So they have this interesting bit where I think 4 of them end up being stuck in the cave.
Yeah, it's Angela.
And everyone else makes it out.
Yeah, which, by the way, they make it out, and the weird bat monsters are sensitive to sunlight. Okay, fine. But when they go back in the cave and you see the 4 people trapped in there, Angela's like, oh, they're blind and they can't see you at all. So these things have no eyes, so how are they sensitive to light? I guess it could be UV rays. That's entirely possible.
Skin.
Could be skin. That's fine. But then they have no form of locating prey, except for their ears, which apparently are not that good, because these people are not that quiet.
No, they are not at all. So yeah, it ends up being Angela, Penny.
Also, for something that can only hunt through sound, they have no ears. They look like dogs, almost. They look like dogs with wings.
Yeah, you would expect the ears to be larger so that they could actually literally catch more sound.
Yeah, but no.
I think that's how this supposed to work.
They have these fucking lizard heads, basically. Like, how do they hear anything?
I was not impressed with the design of like their world building, the way that their world looks, the way that the creatures look have been amazing until this one point.
This is the one that's like
I was truly let down a little bit on this. I'm like, oh, they like the one thing they had going for them was how pretty this planet was, how different they managed to make things look.
There's that frog monster, that's cool.
Yep, there was the
Apex,
plant things, which was amazing.
There's those weird crustacean things.
Oh yeah, those were cool. The rock things, pebble things.
Yeah, there were the bugs, like the weird moth things.
Yeah,
and
they're very
the
beautiful, colory things, and the eel. Yeah,
These
they
are
all
what
look distinct, alien, and very cool.
Yeah.
Distant.
And Undead Band in the chat says Apex means worst, right? Apex just means top of the food chain, right? I guess it could be the worst looking in this case.
Yeah, that's why they're the apex. No one's like, I'm not gonna eat that. Fuck that.
Also, they live in a cave and sit 70 feet above everybody, so.
Undead Band means
the show writer said
that. Right, says the show writer. Yeah.
Oh yes, that's exactly how they act.
Oh, I'm so proud. It's like they don't bother having a research department like for anything.
No.
Anyway.
It cuts away back to Maureen and Smith, who finally get the engine door open, and they see the engine, and then they decide, oh my god, the Christmas star must have been an alien spaceship, and then it cuts away again.
Yeah, they literally do that. Like between them, they managed to tell some like flashback story things, like, oh yeah, the aliens were looking for something particular on the Resolute when they came to attack, and then the other one's like, well, they said that it didn't break up properly, and we suddenly got technology. Maybe they put the pieces together, and it basically. Yeah. Am I right in thinking we never see the engine
on the Resolute
at all?
We see the engine in the aliens, the crash ship.
Yes,
we don't see the Resolute one. The closest we get is Dr. Smith is in the interrogation room. The door opens because it's emergency evacuation protocols.
Yeah.
She runs down and hides when the big restricted area door opens, and you see the suit and some other guy be like, "Oh my god, this is bad!" And the suit's like, "They always could have come back for it," and then it cuts away. Like that's actually like the end of the thing.
Yeah.
And it cuts back to the cave where they have a scene that should be very tense become the most boring scene in the world. It's four people nodding and shaking their head and pointing because there's no sound. It's like,
all right, I have to ask: do you watch it with subtitles?
I did. With subtitles, they had stuff, but none of them said a damn word.
Yeah, I was wondering if that was actually how it came up because I didn't watch it without. I remember watching it the first time thinking, oh, the second time I watched this, I should watch it without subtitles so I could see if this particular area is subtitled or not, and whether they're actually saying anything. I don't know. I honestly don't. But yeah, it's a case of four people making some sort of weird gesticulations at one each other and leaving. And there's a little bit of tension as one of them gets jumped on by the creature.
By the way, they just walk out. And then the creature jumps on one of them, and one of them throws a rock, and it leaves. Like, there's no, like, oh, let's creep, and oh, one of us kicks a rock, and, like, all the creatures descend on us, so we just, like, fucking book it. Nothing like that. It's just, they walk out.
There's no tension built here. Like, there is, like, the one thing where Penny gets pinned down by the big monster, but it's not going to be Penny's death because they haven't built it up properly. And it's if they had jumped on, say, Angela, or they jumped on Hiroki, or they jumped on VJ, any one of those, you would have felt a little bit more tension because it jumped on Penny. It's like she's going to be fine. Yeah, just gonna be and I know it's a little bit because we know how these things are written and how people are protected because of plot. But I've seen things that have that kind of meta protection that still made me feel like, oh my god, this person's in trouble. I didn't know that at all. It was just not there.
There's nothing.
It was nothing at all. It wasn't built properly at all. This tension build at all. And I think it was just there to give them a reason to.
I mean, if I'm being honest, it just feels like padding the episode with like 5 minutes because that's about how long this scene is. Yeah. It's 5 minutes of them walking slowly out of a cave.
Yeah. And they get out the cave, and huzzah! There's a big round of applause, and everyone gets to hug everyone, and everyone feels great. And they're like, and then Will comes over to Penny, and like, oh yeah, Dad contacted me again. He's fine. I don't know where he is. I think that was the gist of that conversation.
Pretty much. She's like, where is he? And he's like, I don't know, somewhere out there.
Yeah.
Like, cool. That's not helpful at all, Will.
Really, only a planet, dude. Only a planet word.
Although I do like that VJ like pulls Penny aside, and he's like, oh yeah, and she's like, oh yeah, you want to say that breaking up with me was stupid and immature and blah 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 blah, and like he's like, it was. Anyway, do you want to like hang out when we get to the Resolute? And she's just like, no. She shuts him down so well. Like, no.
I was happy with that awkward teenage romance. That bit there was the greatest. Like, either she's playing very hard to get, or she's realized that this dude is a tool and needs to be left behind.
Yeah, it's
such a daddy's boy. She's like,
it's so good.
Out. It's this is why I love her. Like, put everything from this series aside, I genuinely love these three kids. Apart from Will, I love the girls. I love
Will is he's hit or miss sometimes.
Yeah, but for me it's the girls, and Penny in this just was so beautifully played, amazingly put down. It was just like, oh, burn, boy.
And then it goes to the last scene in this episode. And this is the scene that made me the most angry at me. Like, the other ones, I'm like, okay, whatever, dumb. But this scene made me, the first time I watched it, legitimately angry.
Oh, yeah, this is a decently length final scene as well.
It is. The length is fine, but it's like, Maureen and Smith are having an argument, and Smith's like, oh, would you have taken me in if I told you the truth? And Maureen's like, yeah. And she's like, you're just stalling. And she goes to find something that shook in the bushes.
Yeah, this made me laugh so hard.
It turns out it's the chicken, because Judy put the chicken out as a piece of bait, and then she injects Smith with something to knock her out.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the part that annoys me. You know Smith is not who she says she is. You know she's now dangerous. She's responsible for killing your father. She kidnapped your mother. What you do is inject her, and then you run over to your mom and untie her. You don't tie Smith up. You don't try to contain her. You don't do anything. You're just like, that's good.
Yeah. And she gives us something that lasts a very short amount of time, because she runs in, oh, we don't have time. It's like, inject her again!
Right?
What are you doing?
What? Like, and I'm fine with not, like, killing her, because, you know, I'm not saying every character's going to do that or whatever. She was in a chariot, and the chariots all have supplies in them. Bring a rope. Tie her up.
Yeah.
Like,
it's something. You deal with the threat first, and then you get rid of everyone else. It's basic triage.
It's not like her mom was bleeding out or anything. Her mom was just tied up. You could have knocked Smith out, tied her up, been like, hey, cool, solve that problem. Instead, unties her mom, they jump in the chariot and start to drive off. But Spencer, because he touched...
I need to ask. They did leave the chicken behind, right?
They did.
I had a note in there. I didn't know if I'd seen them pick up the chicken. And to be honest, the second time around when I watched it, I was not watching it as closely as I should have been, because I was like, oh boy. I think they left the chicken behind, and that made me very angry.
Yeah, they left the chicken behind. They did, which is very sad.
Yeah.
But...
So they get in the chariot and they turn it on, and like, oh yeah, they found a way off the planet. Your son discovered a way off the planet. I'll let him tell you when we get there, which is a nice little moment. And then the chariot doesn't move.
Oh no, the chariot moves, because they drive forward about 5 feet.
Oh.
And then Spencer's standing in front of them, and Maureen's like, back up. And Judy goes to, and Spencer just grabs the front of the chariot and holds it still. Yep. Which means that Spencer weighs a lot.
Well, we discovered that Spencer can not only move ginormous fucking rocks out of the way of the expansion pods, but he can also break rocks with his bare hands.
This is true. But even then, the chariots held an entire Jupiter on the edge of a cliff.
Yeah, that's true.
They clearly have a lot of torque. Spencer doesn't, it's not like braced or anything. He's just
standing and just holding. Yeah.
And it's like, physics still exists. You guys want to talk about physics? Let's see some physics.
Yeah.
Let's see like, Spencer have to brace and like drag back on this thing or something, you know?
There's got to be something going on there. But he just stands there completely nonplussed.
Yeah.
And then we see Dr. Smith appear over the dashboard of this fucking chariot thing. And she has that kind of self-contained like haha smile on her face. I'm like, all right, fair enough. And then the robot turns and looks at her and says, danger, Dr. Smith. I'm like, oh, Christ.
Yep.
Christ on a cracker.
and then it shows Judy and Maureen in the chariot, and then it cuts. Like, that's the end of the episode.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. And my notes here is like, and the robot says, danger, Dr. Smith. And I don't care. Someone kill somebody. Like, at this point, you're in the 11th hour. Let's see a life or death struggle, please.
Yeah. Like at this point, we see I know it's supposed to be like, oh look, the robot is now on the side of Dr. Smith because it says danger, Dr. Smith.
First
And
of
it's
all,
the
we know
only
that's
other
not going to be
thing that-
true because we know in the next episode it's going to do something and Will's going to cry and it's just going to fucking jump back on Will's side. Like,
dude, like the name of this episode is Resurrection, right? I said anyone gets resurrected in this episode, and the title of the next episode.
Spencer gets resurrected in this episode.
Yeah, but I don't really count.
I mean, that's what it is. It's talking about Spencer gets resurrected.
Oh, is it supposed to be their dad? Because he's managed to respond.
You know, to be fair, I'm not counting that one. I'm not counting that as resurrected because all they got was some beeps on a radio. That does anyone
Exactly.
can beep.
That confirms nothing.
Maybe
I
the
don't
Resolute
know.
finally figured out how to build a basic antenna because guess what? They're not that hard to build, everybody.
They have rocket scientists there. Come on, people. Someone must have left a manual. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
He was not hold on. Undead Band says, was he lifting the car a bit? If it's a front-wheel drive, they chose the wrong car things for vehicles for touching the place. He's not lifting the car, and they have shown multiple times the chariots are four-wheel drive.
Mm-hmm. I had that thought too, and no, it is literally just holding the front bar of the chariot, just at level.
Yep, it's not. He's not
I don't even.
Anything.
No. So yeah, that's.
So let me ask you, how would you rate this episode, Valanda?
I rate this as like a fantastic half a bulb. I can't even. I genuinely can't. There's the half a bulb is just for Penny. Oh no, one bulb for Penny.
Yeah,
that's it. That's it. Penny and Judy being a bit of a thing. That's it. Just one. Everything was just too convenient. It was poorly paced. The fight scene between the two grown women was terribly handled. It was terrible. The fact that at the end they leave Korma behind. Like, what are you doing? That's not right.
That's a lucky chicken. Why would you leave it?
Yeah, and the design of the creatures was just not as. It's the one thing I feel that they do well is their world, and they let me down on this one. I was so upset, and it was like, God damn it, people! And no, it's just one bulb for Penny. That's it.
How would you rate the show as a whole right now?
I think that's going to be like a bulb, two bulbs, maybe.
Bulbs? All right. I get that. Because, I'd say half a bulb. There was nothing interesting in this episode. It wasn't a beach episode because stuff happened. Like nobody was just like sitting around like taking it leisurely is what I mean.
Yeah.
But at the same time, this was just a repeat of the same stuff. They could have fit in that engine stuff earlier. They could have done a lot of stuff. This was just a lot of exposition that wasn't needed and could have been handled much cleaner earlier.
Yeah. Like the two older women's track on this was exposition dumps of like, here's a thing, here's like a potential conspiracy theory that we can take onto series 2. There we go. That's the hook for that. Things aren't as they seem or as they did seem way back when.
Yeah.
That's their entire track. And the other one was, we are literally going to go get poop.
Yeah.
It was literally a wow, let's go poop quest.
And that's
it.
This is one of those things of a bunch of rocket scientists on this planet who know there are animals. Not one of them goes, hey, you know what would be good? There's all these animals pooping everywhere. I bet we can collect some shit and make some fucking rocket fuel. Not Hiroki. He's literally the guy that would have thought that. Yeah, not one of these people thought that until the 11th hour, and then it's the child.
And it's the child who threw poop against the wall.
Like, the show has so many things that are just inconsistent, like flip-floppy things, which is why it feels like a networky show, like just a standard cable show. But I would also rate the show as a whole 2 bulbs. I would not really recommend this. This makes me unhappy, and I wouldn't want to do this to anybody. Yeah.
I think at the end of the last episode, I think I definitely fell on the side of like, I don't like this series at all. Actually, and I came into this one trying to be optimistic and just couldn't.
I will say, I would recommend this show. If someone asked me, hey, I want a sci-fi show that I can watch while I'm farming gold in WoW or some shit, I'd be like, oh yeah, check this out. Like, it doesn't matter if you're paying attention or not. You're not going to miss anything.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, if you just wanted a show to put on the background and you specifically wanted sci-fi, I'd be like, hey, yeah, check it out. You could pay attention or not. It doesn't matter. It's 10 episodes of garbage.
Yeah.
And then
I'm hoping that episode 10 is a fucking stunner of an episode where like you can ignore the first 9. I know. When I already know what it's called. I'm like, oh god, man. Like, the first 9 episodes, you can just ignore pretty much all of those and watch episode 10.
Episode 10.
I'm hoping that's going to be a thing. I'm hoping 10 is going to floor us. I'm also hoping it's not an hour and a half special. I don't know how I'm going to cope if it is.
You know, I want to do a thing real fast that we haven't done. We're running a little long, but I want to do this. Because who are your favorite characters in this show?
It's Penny and Judy.
Yeah.
That's it. They're everything for me. They're why I'm watching.
I have 3, and it's Penny, Judy, and Dawn.
Dawn, yeah.
Because I love
Dawn, yeah.
He shows up and just kind of smarms around the scene for a little bit, and then he leaves. Like, he doesn't really affect anything, and he's just kind of a sarcastic asshole for like 5 minutes, and he's like, bye.
I like a little bit of me has that kind of like maybe there was a writer with some talent in here. The dude who wrote episode 6, and he wrote the character of Dawn, and after having seen the series, he was like, I'm gonna make him be me. I'm gonna give this character a flippant attitude. I'm gonna make him out for himself and out for money because it's all I'm here for now. There's no passion here. But I'm gonna make him have an interesting conversation and dynamic with one of the other characters because she's actually not a bad character. And we're going to give it to an actor who's taking the role probably as seriously as he should do.
Yes.
Let's turn up and we'll smile, we'll get through the day and we'll punch out. Everyone else is taking the I'm going to punch out and be sad about it attitude. He's like,
whatever, you're paying me, I don't care. Yeah. He's such a good character because he's kind of just smarmy. He doesn't really care. He shows up for 5 minutes at a time. However, he does fall in the same trap that everyone else in this the main characters fall into, which is they are too perfect. Yeah. Dawn's conflict is that he's a smuggler.
Yeah. He hasn't got anything else there.
No.
That's it. He is that. That is what he...
Like, quick list of the main characters. John is the ultimate badass soldier. Who will sacrifice anything for his family. Maureen is... I don't want to use the term Mary Sue, but, like, she kind of falls into that, like, area of being, like, she's the smartest and the best and, like, that kind of thing. But they all do. Like, all of the characters do. Judy is 18 and apparently the best doctor in the whole fucking galaxy.
She's the only doctor in this.
I mean,
in that particular, I think on the planet anyway, at least. She's that, and she's bold and adventurous.
Yeah. There's Penny, who's just like a go-getter, but even she is hyper competent.
Yes, everything.
There's Will, who is honestly, I feel like he's really poorly written because he's so flip-floppy between like being hyper competent and being the dumbest person in the fucking world.
Oh my god, yeah. Yeah.
Like more so than even a child would account for.
Like he is the let's remember that he's only like 12 years old or something. Oh yeah, we'll play that angle because we need something dumb to happen in this episode.
And then there's Smith, who is the greatest manipulator in the entire world. In fact, the only manipulator who might be better than her is that guy from the show Lie to Me. Like, they're all too good. They're fucking DC characters. They're overpowered as fuck with the most basic bullshit, conflicts.
Yeah. They're flat, and I just hope that this is going to be a stunner of a finale. I'm hoping it's going to make me go, yeah, there's going to be a season 2, and maybe Netflix brought this or like brought this from someone,
a new team.
Yeah, maybe this was written for network. Maybe this is what has happened. They're like, oh, the network's dropping it because it's lame. We'll take it for a series. We'll get people interested, and then we'll use the money we make from it to make a better series. I'm hoping that's the case. I so hope. I don't feel like that's going to be.
I don't feel like it either. But you know what? Fine, whatever. This, if you were watching this and washing dishes, this TV show would be adequate. It is dishwasher TV.
Honestly, I would just put YouTube music on.
I mean, I would listen to a podcast, honestly. Like, I got enough stuff to like fill the time, but if you just wanted something, sure.
Mindless. If you want something mindless, yeah.
Because that's what it is.
Yeah, it's I'm not looking forward to next week. Do you have any predictions for next week?
I mean, just my prediction that the robot's going to immediately go back to Will's side. Like, the second he sees him, he's just going to go back to him. There's going to be fucking anime hearts floating around these two in fucking episode 10.
I think it's going to take... I think when they meet... I'm gonna take the other road. I think that when they meet, like Will will try and get the robot on the side, and the robot will like ignore him and go off with Smith, and like Will's heart will be broken for a little bit, and then when Will's in actual danger, when he's actually in trouble, the robot will like, no, fuck you, Will's my BFF.
Okay, all right, we'll see which one of us was right.
No.
Also, fuck this show. Other prediction though is, let's see. No one's gonna die. I bet no one will die. They will all get back on the Resolute, and the Resolute will continue on its way. Spencer will probably be with them, and if not, Spencer will be the only casualty. But I highly doubt it. Which means that next season is going to be just them flying around in a spaceship in space in an uncharted area that I have no idea where they're at. Mm-hmm. Just doing fuck all. Who knows?
I think it will leave us on a cliffhanger of someone maybe being dead, someone important.
I just don't see. I don't think they have. I don't think they have it in them.
I think they'll get to the they'll get to the Resolute and find that it's being overtaken by robots, or it will be in a really bad state, or they'll fly up there and it's already gone. I think there's got to be some sort of half decent. Yeah, I think it's going to be some cliffhanger there because.
I can definitely predict the name of the episode, Undead Man. I don't even need to look at it. I know exactly what it's going to be. I
already know. I saw it. It came up. I couldn't stop episode 10 rolling on. I'm like, God damn it!
I know exactly what it is.
Yeah.
I feel it. Whether or not it doesn't matter. Anyway, let's outro. Let's get the fuck out of here and stop thinking about this for a week.
Yeah, let's get out. Let's put this like we have 1 week left, dude. 1 week left of this shit, yeah. And then we are going to go on to something good.
We can finally make this show kneel at the edge of the grave and put a bullet in its head for the good of everyone.
No, we can't, because it will happen. Like if we put it on the edge of a grave, we put a bullet in its head, it will fall in. We'll cover it with dirt, and then it'll be like a Fallout New Vegas bullshit happening. And season 2 will happen. It will just come back and try and hunt us down. So.
Oh, you know what? You're probably right. We have to just let it go for the good of everyone.
All right. Outros, dude.
Go. You outro first. That's how it goes.
It is it? Okay. I'm Valonda. You can find me on Twitter at blood_BTP. You can find me on the podcast, The Lucky Die, which comes out every Monday. I think that's might probably be it for the weekend, actually. I don't think we've got anything else happening. Nice. What about yourself, dude?
I'm Drew Tillman, and you can find me on Twitter at NotThatDrew, and the podcast Taking Initiative, and sometimes I appear on The Lucky Die. Just sometimes. I don't think that bot worked.
Oh god, I broke the bot. Oh no, I'm just a moron. There we go.
Wait, did you not send it as the bot? Oh, you just said it wrong. Okay, I see.
No, all right. I wrote it incorrectly.
All right, that's not a problem concern. Anyway, you can find us in all these places. Come say hi, come talk to us, send us messages on Twitter and whatnot. Tell us what you think of Spencer's butt if you've seen it. Anyway.
I'm not linking Spencer's butt. I can't.
I'm not linking it. You guys have to go put that on your Google history. I'm not doing it for you.
Yeah, we're not responsible for that.
No, but you can tell me what you think of Spencer's butt.
Yes.
But that's us. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for hanging out. Bye, guys.
Bye.